Hello and welcome to Super Rugby Round 19 preview. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby opinions and predictions. And we are live on Periscope, Facebook and even YouTube as well. So wherever you like to consume your content, that is where we're at. We're all over the place. Hi, Colkin Matthew, who is online on Periscope. Yes, if you're on Periscope or YouTube or Facebook, you can also leave comments during the show and let us know what's going on. It is all much appreciated. And joining me this evening, I have two wonderful guests, and we are going across all the different countries. I have Fila from South Africa. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Paul. How are you?
Good, thank you. And also Shane from Australia. How are you doing, Shane?
Good, thanks, Paul. How are you, mate?
Not bad at all. Now, I obviously have my bucket hat, and I wear that all the time. But Philly, you've gone and outdone me here tonight. Please do explain to us your wonderful headdress.
It's just a traditional Zulu headgear for guys going into war. So there's really, I'm just trying to keep an African feel to your show, just to give it some color.
And you're coming in hot with going into war. You're going to be a bit feisty tonight. You're going to tell us how it is.
Yep. Because I mean, this weekend is the final weekend. Teams have to go all out. We've got the Sharks having to.
You're jumping into the game. You're jumping into the last game of the round already. Wow, this is. God, we've got like seven other games to get through before we get there.
I'll wait for your cue and then I'll start attacking.
So Shane, you're not jumping the gun, but so we kick off Friday night with the as Phila said to start off with. This is the final round of games before we hit the finals, and we have still some outstanding things to figure out, predominantly around the order of the teams rather than actually who's going to make it. I mean, even though I did read somewhere that the Brumbies think that if they get a bonus point win, they can potentially make it into the finals. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Really, we are down to 9 teams that can make it into the last 8 positions. Basically, we've got the Crusaders, the Hurricanes, the Chiefs, and the Highlanders will all be joining from New Zealand. They will be joined by the Waratahs and the Lions and the Jaguares from the Australia and South Africa conferences. And it really comes down to a battle between the Rebels, who currently hold 8th, and the Sharks, who hold 9th for that final place in the playoffs. Which means this could all go down to the very last game of the round, which is the Sharks versus the Jaguares. But before we get there, it's the Chiefs versus the Hurricanes, and a game we will get to watch again next week, Fila.
The Chiefs, basically, I think the Chiefs have hit the right note, if I may call it that, after they beat the Highlanders in Fiji, but there'll be some question marks coming into this game because of they'll be missing a couple of key players. But the Hurricanes, on the other hand, they just need to win or lose by a bonus point, but they're still in the mix, so they're still in the playoffs. But it'll be a tough New Zealand battle as always. I don't see anything changing besides thinking that the Chiefs might just edge the Hurricanes.
Oh, you're into predictions already. But Shane, this is really, let's be honest, this one is really intriguing because whilst we have this game this weekend, and if the Chiefs can win by 24 points or more, they get to host next weekend. Otherwise, they have to go to the Hurricanes. Do you think the teams are going to come into this, Shane, and keep some cards close to their chest next week, or is it all out to try and get that home advantage?
Well, I think Mackenzie and Sam Cane are being rested, aren't they, Paul, for this one? And Retallick's back in?
Yeah, so there's no Cane or DMAC, and that's because of the whole All Blacks 2 weeks rest. There was a bit of mind games earlier in the week when one of the Hurricanes coaches suggested that maybe, I think it was Plumtree, maybe the Canes would play DMAC this weekend and then rest him for the quarterfinal. But he's not allowed to do that. And let's first, who would rest players for the quarterfinal? They're not allowed to do that. It has to be during the regular season. They missed 2 games. But yeah, this is DMAC and Sam Cane are missing. But Brodie Retallick, as I say, is back in the mix for the Chiefs.
Fila makes a very good point, and I agree with him. The Chiefs are starting to hit their straps at the pay end of the season, and as I've always pointed out, the Chiefs have that beautiful square of the pitch running game, which gives the options to the inside and outside backs once the breaks are being made, and the Hurricanes have that all-round rugby game that's finished off with their fantastic fast backs. I reckon it'll be actually going down to the wire, and to make Jess happy, I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs as well.
Wow.
By about 3.
By how many, sorry? By 5?
By 3.
By 3. I say that those players missing. I've gone blank as I was going to say. I was going to say something profound and amazing, but I've forgotten what it was. So, Phil, what's your margin then? How much do you think the Chiefs will buy?
Look, considering the fact that these 2 teams have met about 31 times, and Chiefs have won 14, and Hurricanes have won 16. I think it will be a close game, but I mean, like you said earlier, the Chiefs will be going for a home playoff because, I mean, then that gives them an edge over the opposition. So I'll go Chiefs by at least 7.
You're going Chiefs by at least 7. Wow. Okay. So my normal rule of thumb is if for New Zealand derbies, go for the home team, and 9 times out of 10 you'll be right, unless it involves the Blues, obviously, in which case the Blues will just lose. But for the other 4, if they're at home, they kind of win. Now, this week though, with Sam Cane missing, and with DMAC missing, the drop from Damien to Marty, fine, they both are called Mackenzie, but their gameplay is very different, even if their family names aren't. So I think that drop down to from DMAC down to Marty is quite a big drop, and so hence I'm actually going for the Hurricanes by 3 in this one. They've got all their players there. They need a bit of momentum going into the finals, having lost 3 on the trot before their win last weekend. To me, I'm backing the Hurricanes this one against you guys, and also the people in the chat. So I mean, both Jack and Christian. Jack's gone for Chiefs by 3, Christian's and Chiefs by 5. So everyone except for me is going Chiefs. So we'll see who has the last laugh on that one. And just other team news for the Hurricanes. Ben Lam is back in place of Julian, who drops down to the bench. We then head over to Australia. Before we head over to we head to Australia after this, and we just got a question in the chat as to when are the Western Force playing, and the Western Force are playing Samoa, and this weekend, and it is at 10:30 p.m. New Zealand time this weekend, which is the same weekend that Samoa are playing Germany in the playoffs.
In that game here.
Sorry?
They're not showing that game here in South Africa.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think they're showing it in New Zealand either. I think it's just being shown in Australia. But yeah, so the Western Force are playing at 10:30 p.m. on Saturday for the person who's asking in the chat. And obviously, I say it'll be a second string Samoa team because Samoa are playing Germany in the World Cup playoffs as well this weekend. So don't forget to keep up on the World Cup qualification news this weekend. But on Friday night, we'll have the Reds versus the Sunwolves. Interestingly enough, the Reds in this game, Shane, which is your team, have gone for a 6-2 split on the bench. Sunwolves not really renowned for a strong forward side, so a bit of a surprise there.
Well, I haven't admittedly seen the Red side for the weekend, but I understand that I think that's more of a tactical thing from from Brad Thorne. I think what we saw with the Rebels is their forward drive game is clearly an aspect that is working for the Reds and starting to get some results. So maybe that's a thing. It's the last game of the season. George Smith is out, I believe, which is a real shame, which would have been nice to have seen him play his final Super Rugby game. I understand that Tate McDermott is starting instead of Moses Sorovi. So another live wire scrum half. So certainly Brad Thorne's certainly making some experimental changes to the side, and against the Sunwolves might be a good chance to do that, though I'm not underestimating the Sunwolves either.
Yeah, Tate McDermott, this is his run-on debut. He's come off the bench before, but this will be the first time he's started in a Super Rugby game. So good luck to him. And as you say, unfortunately, George Smith is not available for his last, what would have been his last Super Rugby game on Australian soil. Unfortunately,
yeah.
But I say a bit surprised by that split on the bench, because this Sunwolves side are going to ask questions in the backs more than the forwards, aren't they, Phila?
Yeah, they like to throw the ball around. They mix their forwards and their backline quite nicely in open play. So for me, these are two evenly matched teams, the Reds and the Sunwolves. Basically, I mean, they're both out of contention for any playoffs in the Super Rugby competition. So basically, for them, what they'll be playing for is pride. So Brad Thorne, I mean, it's his first season, so for him, it'll be basically a test to see who he has for next season, to build on what he's started this season with the Reds. And then as for the Sunwolves, basically for them, I mean, they've actually picked up their rugby in the past couple of months. They've improved quite a lot, home and away. And even last week's game, I mean, even against the Waratahs last weekend, I mean, if it wasn't for that red card, it was quite an evenly contested match in Sydney. So for this weekend, I would like to back the Sunwolves, but I think the Reds, because they're at home, they might just have too much power for the Wolves.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I'm backing the Reds by 5, purely on home advantage. The result against the Blues, I was sort of really down on the Reds, but they bounced back well against the Rebels last weekend, so showing that they do want to finish off in style at home and give their home fans a couple of wins. 5 changes though as well for the Sunwolves. Some enforced, as you say, by the red card. So we've got a debutant, I believe, on the wing. And we see Michael Little move out from 12 to 13, which and he's been a key guy for them at 12. So I'm not sure that it's going to be interesting to see how they go with him further out. So both.
Yeah, because the thing is now the Reds haven't made a lot of changes as compared to the Wolves. So the Reds are looking for continuity in terms of combinations and everything. So with the Wolves making a significant number of 5 within their team, that's why I think that's why I'll rather go for the Reds on this one, because with those untested combinations, because we know the Sunwolves play an open champagne rugby. They want to throw the ball around. It might not work as well because of the new combinations that are starting against the Reds this weekend.
Yeah, and very true. Jack does make the point that the Sunwolves did beat the Reds in Tokyo, so the Reds will be looking for revenge as well. So I think there's plenty of drivers here for the Reds, even though this is a dead rubber as far as qualification goes. I think we're all going for the Reds. I've gone by 5. Phila, how many?
Yeah, I can say 5.
Shane?
I'll say 5. I hope, being a little biased here, I hope the boys finish off what's been a very good learning season for them.
Yeah.
It's definitely been, this has been a transition season for them. there's no two ways about it. This has not been this was never going to be a title a season for them at all. Before we head into Saturday's games, just a quick reminder that the best way to support us is to share these with your friends about the shows, and also if I had a new, and I've just gone absolutely blank, and I'm sorry I've forgotten the name of the guy who has become a Patreon yesterday, but he also asked me to ask my opinion on the new substitution laws for the top 14. So straight after this show, I'm going to do a recording video for him, and that will be out for Patreons only. So if you want to see my views on the new substitution laws for the top 14, become a Patreon. The link's above in Periscope, otherwise it's in the notes below for Facebook and YouTube, and you can then have a watch of that. Saturday, the early game in New Zealand is the Highlanders versus the Rebels. This game matters because, as we said, the Rebels are in 8th place and could drop out of contention. But
yeah.
With the Highlanders resting both Ben Smith and Aaron Smith, as well as Whitelock and Thompson, are the Highlanders actually trying to lose this one, Phila, and to get themselves a better draw in the quarterfinals?
I don't think they're trying to lose the game. More of the same thing that the Chiefs are doing, trying to rest players for this weekend and then get the players ready for the playoffs. But with the Rebels, I mean, since Guinea got injured this season, I mean, they've never been the same. So I don't think they're underestimating the Rebels in any way, but I just think they're just trying to rest the key players for a playoff, basically, if they land anyone in the playoffs, so that their key players are back in the mix and they're nice and fresh.
It's not just Guinea that's missing, but also Coleman and Dane Hallett-Petty, Shane. So,
Coleman is quite a key figure for that Rebel side as well. I mean, he's very important in terms of line out and getting consolidating the forwards, especially so to get good go forward ball. But that he'll be missed. Definitely, will be missed.
I mean, Coleman's the captain, and as you say, they're forward leader. So Shane, who's kind of missing the most important pieces? The Rebels or the Highlanders? Having heard all the players who aren't there rather than the players that, and we're talking about players who aren't there rather than the players who are playing that weekend.
Well, New Zealand sides have a lot of depth, and when you put somebody in a New Zealand side, generally in the top 4 New Zealand sides.
I see what you've done there. I see.
No. Well, but in New Zealand sides generally, I should say that they come out and they produce a really good result because they've had the training, the skills, and the experience. So I think the Rebels are going to really miss out on the bloke, I call the shop steward, Coleman, who runs everything, and Hallett-Petty, and their general Will Genia. Ruru is a very talented scrum half naturally, and I think Hodge is, Hodge is certainly out of position at 10. I know he's been tried there, and I think they'll keep experimenting there because Australian rugby needs another 10, but that's another story. I just think with the depth that the Highlanders got, that they'll pull through and they'll get stuck in, and it's up to the Rebels to work with the depth they got with all the talent they signed as well. I think the Rebels have nothing to lose. It's just the fact that the Highlanders probably will be the side that you'll see the W against because of the way they play rugby.
And yeah, you got to say, so Josh Ioane I think it's his first start at fullback for the Highlanders. So good luck to him on his run on debut, and there's the same here. I mean, I made my prediction before the sides were announced, and I was a bit surprised to see both Smiths missing from the Highlanders 2 seasons ago. That would really worry me, but I think that the Highlanders, as you say, have improved their depth, and I think Genia, Coleman, Dame, Millet, Petty are probably the 3 best players out of the Rebels. So I think their loss is actually much greater, and so I'm happy with my Highlanders by 10 prediction I made earlier in the week. Pillar, what's your margin?
Yeah, I was thinking 10-12 as well. I just wanted to make one note. I'm interested to see the Thomas Umanga Jensen boy at 13 for the Highlanders. I think he was very exciting as a youngster in the under-20s. It'd be good to see him get a run in the Super Rugby for the Highlanders.
Yeah, again, the opportunity that Thompson's out, and Thompson, a couple of people have said on recent shows that they consider to be the best centre or the most informed centre in New Zealand.
Yeah, true.
So, being given a rest, so it's been difficult for Umanga Jensen to get past him to get some game time. Let's be honest.
For me, I say Highlanders by 12. Yeah.
Or 12, and Shane?
15.
15. So I'm the most conservative. Tonight, Jack's pointed out that the person that I was trying to refer to is Daniel, who's the person who's become a Patreon, so thank you very much for reminding me about that, Jack. I agree with Jack, actually, that Ruru is rubbish. I would perhaps not put it quite so harsh, but I would say Ruru is poor. So I do disagree with you there, Shane, as to his skill levels, I'm afraid.
Talented in terms of he doesn't have Gania's general-like skills, and I mean, in terms of if you want a 3-star performance, you'll get Genia. But in terms of he's got that level of training that he can control his forwards, and I think that's something. I mean, it's certainly not Wallabies material, but that's what I meant by talented.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
We then head on to the last game. Sorry, Pillar?
No, I didn't say anything.
No? Okay, sorry.
No.
The last game of in New Zealand for the regular season is the Crusaders versus the Blues. The Crusaders with 4 changes in the forwards, Barrett being rested, but otherwise pretty much a first-choice side. So Shane, they really want to continue their winning form going into the finals.
Yep, they want to march right ahead and win this with a bonus point. And as I've always said about the Crusaders, they're a team that just won't give you an inch, and they'll get stuck in from minute 0 to minute 80. They're just a very talented side. The Blues, the Blues have nothing to lose in this match, and they should just get stuck in and give it their best shot. And if they come out and just play, I'd play all out attack. I'd really just have a go. The last game of the season, it's looking like a reasonable Crusaders victory, but these things just. The drought's got to end eventually for the Blues against New Zealand sides, and I don't see it happening on Saturday night. But I hope that the Blues have a real crack at the very least.
Well, with Duffy, Nanai, Collins, Ione, Caleb Clark, who are basically a whole bunch of back 3 players, we've got no centres in there at all. With Perifetta, who loves to run with the ball but isn't definitely not a defensive fly half pillar. The Blues just have to basically run with it and have a go.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Blues and the Crusaders side, I mean, they've got Israel Dag at 15. They've got Tamani Valu at 14, Jack Goodhue at 13. They've got Ryan Crutty at 12. And then 11, George Bridge and Richie Moanga. I mean, they've got at least, 5 All Blacks already in that back line, as it is. With them just missing only Barrett in the forwards, I mean, the Crusaders are just a classy outfit, and what I'm interested to see is how Kieran Reid continues with his form, coming back from injury. I mean, last week we saw him play 45 minutes. I want to see him play at least 50, 60 minutes of the game, just to see how fit he is, and in Israel Dag as well, how well he's recovered from his injury as well. And then, but for the Blues, I mean, it's been a tough season. I'm sure they just want to get the season over and done with and restart again. I mean, they've made the wholesale changes within the structures of the Blues. So from CEOs, and there'll be changes within the coaching staff, but I think Tana still stays, but we'll be getting assistant coaches from Leon McDonald as well. So I think the Blues just want to get the season over and done with, and then just restructure and start again and train for next season. So I don't see the Blues upsetting the Crusaders at home at all.
Yeah, if we're not careful, I'm going to go into another rant as to what the problems with the Blues are. And they are top to bottom. I mean, when you hear that Auckland Rugby aren't welcome at the Blues training ground and have to train basically in a public park, it just tells you that the whole place
big problems
is just toxic. When you've got the local NPC, the local Minor 10 Cup side can't even train in the same place as the Super Rugby side. And they have that whole ground there is just basically left, or the whole training facility is left empty in the off season. So that's it's a total mess, and it really needs to be sorted out. I'm not convinced that the change is going to happen. A good point though made that the Crusaders are missing Moody, Cody Taylor, and Ben Franks from their front row. So 3 All Blacks, practically an All Blacks, practically a starting All Blacks front row. And yet we still say that they're solid and we can't see any real holes in them. So, yeah, amazing depth there. Because I just want to get myself away from ranting about the Blues. I agree with you. My main thought here is hopefully Crotty doesn't get a head knock. But apart from that, I'm backing the Crusaders by 15 in this one.
Yeah.
You're going 15 as well, Philip?
Yeah, 15.
Shane?
Yeah, I'd agree with that margin.
So we're all going big on the Crusaders. One point that I forgot to make, and I remember it was now for the opening game between the Chiefs and the Hurricanes. Last week we saw the Hurricanes running straight down that 12 channel, or that 10-12 channel against the Blues, and ripping them to pieces. With Charlie Nartai sat in there for the Chiefs. The Hurricanes will not find, and Lamapi will not find those easy gaps that they found last week. So we're going to need some different tactics from the Hurricanes. We're not going to see them just do the same thing over and over again.
No, Charlie is a class act. I mean, he won't be run over by a newcomer, if I may call Ngatai that. Laumape. So he'll be ready for this weekend, and he'll be closing down those channels, the 10-12 channel, and assisting Marty as well, because we know how Bowden Barrett can just exploit that 10 and 12 channel when he pleases, basically. So if they can close him down early and force him to make those cross kicks instead of running through 10 and 12, then the Chiefs stand a good chance as well.
Yeah, they've got to stay connected is the main thing in that midfield, both, and also Anton Brown at 13 as well. Those three need to stay connected and not leave big gaps, which is something that the Blues did all night long, or at least the first half, and then the game was all over. We then head over to Sydney for what is going to be the first of 3 really important games. If the Waratahs lose this one and the Lions win, then these two teams could switch around in second and third, and that's that makes a big difference to the earlier games. Because one of the things we were talking about, one of the things we joked about was, are the Highlanders trying to throw the game? Because if they finish 7th and the Waratahs finish 2nd, then the Highlanders would only have to travel to Sydney. Whereas if they finish 6th and the Lions finish 3rd, which is what's most likely to happen, then the Highlanders have to go all the way to South Africa. which is a much tougher trip. So this game between the Tars and the Brumbies is important from that point of view, because if the Highlanders have thrown that game earlier in the weekend, not that I'm saying they would do, being professional sportsmen and all that kind of stuff, then if the Tars were to then lose, that would really mess up all their plans. But
yeah, I mean, just a side note here, they don't want to do what England did in the World Cup, trying to avoid Brazil and then go on and lose.
Dear
but anyway,
now I'm somebody who basically has went into Twitter before the Football World Cup started and muted as many Football World Cup, FIFA World Cup, World Cup 2018 hashtags as I could as possible to try and avoid all the news about this. So, but even me, who has muted Neymar, or however you say his name, so I don't get tweets about him. Even I actually kind of noticed that England were playing a game this morning, and it went into extra time. So, yep, it's not going home, as they say.
Yeah.
But so yes, you're only playing those sort of games. But Shane, the Waratahs are managing to name an unchanged side against the Brumbies.
Yeah, well, I gotta get into Aussie mode, being an Aussie here, and say Saturday night, what a way to finish off the Australian Conference with an all-Aussie derby between two very proud Super Rugby clubs. And they're evenly matched. Obviously, Hooper's still out with the injury, so that. But other than that, you've got, so many goal jumpers on the line here. Kurandrani against Rona. You've got probably not as good, obviously, as Beale, but someone like probably Kyle Godwin playing 12, who's a Wallaby himself, against Beale. You've got Liliafano and Joe Powell against the Phibbs and Foley. The forward packs are very evenly matched. Pocock is world class. You've got two very good front rows against each other. So I'm really looking forward to this match. And get your barbecues out, get your big screen televisions, get your mates out. The workers are having a barbecue. Even the kangaroos and emus are invited. It's going to be a cracker of a game. Make no mistake about this game. The Brumbies and the Waratahs are going to go hammer and tong for 80 minutes. And there's finals situations aside, both sides are going to really play some wonderful rugby on Saturday night. What a great way to finish the Aussie Conference.
Yeah, I mean, Rugby Reg and perhaps yourself might not agree, but to me, this is the big Aussie derby between these two sides. They're not. They're a stone's throw from each other. Really, you can drive between them quite comfortably. So this, to me, this is the big Aussie derby. It's a great one to finish on, as you say. Make sure you're following the Waratahs and the Brumbies Twitter accounts, because they will be having a bit of fun at each other's expense, and it is fun. It's not nasty, but yeah, there'll be some good banter going on Twitter between these two on their Twitter accounts as well. So it is a cracker. I've got to say congratulations to Naravoro. It's his 50th game for New South Wales. His 47th Super Rugby game, but his 50th game in total. So he reaches his half century. So congratulations to him. And Villa, a fun one for the commentators with the Arnold twins starting at 4 and 5 in this game.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking Brumbies and the Waratahs, like Shane said. I mean, it's going to be a war zone. Actually, my only worry is that if when Cooper is out for the Waratahs and Pocock is there for the Brumbies, the battle on the ground is going to be very, very high intensity, very competitive. And if Pocock does what he does best, I would love to call the Brumbies winning this one over the Waratahs, because what will be key is that battle on the ground. The ruck time is going to be very, very important. Scrums are going to be important as well, lineouts. So your forward play, creating a platform for your backline, will be very important for this game. That's why I like to make the call and say Pocock will be the difference, and Brumbies could go on to take it by 1 or 2 points.
Well, I was impressed by Will Miller last weekend, who's come in for Hooper. I thought he's done pretty well stepping in. Yeah, he's only got 14 caps.
Yeah, but
he is inexperienced. I agree. And he's got, this is going to be his toughest battle. That is for certain. I'm going with home advantage. I'm backing the Waratahs by 3. But when I say by 3, the bounce of the ball can decide this one. Shane, you're the Aussie. You're the expert for these two teams. Tell us which way it's going to go.
Well, it's going to go the way of the side that is prepared to play the Aussie, the old school Aussie way that we all know and love. The crash it through the middle, the forward domination, the counter attacks.
Get off the fence and tell us which way.
I'm going to say the Waratahs by 1.
By 1, so yeah,
it's going to go right down to the final play.
So I'm the one that's betting the whole house by going by 3. So as you can see, this is going to be a close one. It could really go either way, folks. So yeah, and that finishes up things for the Australia conference, and then it's all we've got left is
too passionate, Paul. Too passionate.
All we got left is two fantastic clashes over in South Africa. So, Pilla,
the real rugby starts.
Now the real rugby starts. Yes. Your Emirates Lions hosting the Bulls. The Lions lost for the first time in 2 years to a South African side last weekend against the Sharks. Is this a Lions side in disarray, or is that just a blip?
I think it was just a hiccup. But the Sharks have been asking questions of the Lions in the past couple of years. I mean, their games have been highly contested. I mean, the win margin has probably been 4 or 5 points in the past 2 years as well. I think this weekend against the Bulls have nothing to lose, and the way they came back against the Jaguares last week, I think John Mitchell will want his boys to be playing for pride, and also for him to be playing for his position within the coaching staff moving on for next season at the Bulls. So the Lions will have to go guns blazing at this one to upset, to beat the Bulls. But even though they're playing at home, it's a tough one. It's a very tough one to call, because, I mean, the Pretoria is just 45 minutes away from Johannesburg. So home advantage really isn't a thing, if I may call it that.
Yeah, I mean, for those people not in South Africa, what we remember is both these sides play on the high veld, so there's no altitude advantage for either of these two sides.
It'll be very tough, Paul. I mean, to be really honest with you, it's a tough one to call. It's a really, really tough one to call. But the Lions coming off a bye, maybe they've done some soul searching in the past week. So they might come out and show a different side to what we've seen so far in Super Rugby, because they haven't been convincing, if I may use that word, and they haven't played to the Lions rugby that we know they've been playing in the past 2 years. So the Bulls stand within a chance for this game. But home advantage, yes, no, yes, maybe no, but I'll just say home advantage, Lions by 1. 1 only.
Wow. Yeah, we haven't got the sides for these. They probably come about midnight New Zealand time, so probably about another 3 or 4 hours away from these sides being announced. We don't know who they are. One of the things for me, I mean, the Stormers and Sharks, both the sides that sort of win at home, lose away. Home advantage in South Africa seems to be a big thing. Now, I know you're saying that they're neighbours, and this is obviously the. Last weekend we had the Sharks and the Stormers, the coastal derby, and this is the inland derby. for South Africa. But yeah, I still think home advantage. You're right. The Bulls really showed character last weekend, and Shane, they also actually we saw some more of that forwards offloading that we saw against the Hurricanes in the opening round of the season.
Yeah,
Oh, go, Phila.
No, sorry, man. That's the thing. I mean, with the Bulls, they've been on and off, and once they switch on, they're a different outfit, and they're very hard to stop. And especially with now RG Snyman running in the middle, like Shane says, Australian rugby. Well, they've copied South African rugby, but anyway, like when RG Snyman starts running, and when Warwick Highlanders starts receiving the ball at first five, it becomes a different story. They get good go forward ball, and Highlanders knows how to put his forwards into gaps and space. So Pollard will be very key. Pollard versus Junkies. That just whoa. The camera just fell there. Pollard versus Junkies will be a very good contest. I mean, they're both fighting for the Springbok 10 jersey, so it'll be a highly contested game, and maybe we might not see a lot of tries, but a lot of goal kicking will be pivotal for this fixture.
Yeah, at altitude, Shane, the kicking out of hand and also goal kicking is always key in these ones, isn't it? Because you can clear a long way if you get the ball.
Absolutely. Look, I think I've just mentioned what a way to finish off our conference. Well, what a great way to finish off the South African conference between the two Transvaal. Forgive me if my geography is wrong, Phila. The two Transvaal sides. And goal kicking is a fantastic element of a gauge of how some of these games are won and lost. I am really excited, and keep your barbecues warm, folks. Stay up a little longer and watch this derby. I think this is the best round of Super Rugby we're going to have. This is going to be really close, folks. A battle of the forward packs, a battle of the backs. Goal kicking will come into it because of the side that will have the least and most disciplinary issues, and referees, particularly in the South African derbies, will pick up on those probably the issues with the forwards getting a little tired later in the game. So enjoy this game, folks. I think Phila's absolutely spot on. It's going to come down to a point.
Well, I'd say the Lions have only lost once in the last 2 years to the South African side, and that was away at the Sharks, who pre-season we said was one of the most talented sides in the Africa Conference and should be so. So I'm going to back the Lions by 7. I can't see them losing.
Wow.
Losing to another South African side.
Wow.
So I've gone big on this one. And then to finish things off, we have the Sharks versus the Jaguares. So the Sharks, who got that victory over the Lions 2 weeks ago, then lost away to the Stormers, a side that really we're going to be doing our Super Rugby awards of the after the end of the season, but I think one of the sides that's going to get nominated at least for the most disappointing side of the season is going to be the Sharks, because I had such high hopes for them. And they'll know going into this game if they can or cannot make that the playoffs. With the Rebels at the Highlanders, and we've all said the Highlanders are going to win, this is a key game for the Sharks, isn't it, Pilla?
No, it's very important, and I think Sharks being at home could be the only difference for this game. But I mean, I'm not writing off the Jaguares in this game at all, because they also want to be. I mean, finish on a high. I mean, in the past 2 months, their rugby has been brilliant. They've been a different outfit compared to their national side, and I think that might be a coaching thing, because they've got 2 different coaches. But they've been a different outfit and for the past 2-3 months, and I mean they've come in within a shot at playing in the playoffs. So I won't write the
Jaguares are going to be playing in the playoffs. They're coming in now. If you guys are right, and the Bulls are in with a chance, because I don't really give the Bulls a chance. But if the Bulls do upset the Lions, and the Jaguares win here, they top the South Africa Conference. They get a home
and then they get to play home court, exactly. So I mean that's what they'll be gunning for here. So I mean don't write them off yet. And the problem is if the Jaguares get a start like they did against the Bulls, the question will be now are the Sharks capable of coming back from that deficit? So for me, I think it'll be very important to see how the Sharks start this game, because the start is very key. The first 10-15 minutes, because Jaguares come at you and they throw the ball around and they hit you hard and they spread you as well around the park. So it'll be interesting to see how the Sharks contain that and actually absorb all that pressure. And then, as from the Sharks game plan point of view, can't really make out what it is, but they'll try and dominate up front, but the Jaguares can evenly match them up front as well. Backline, I mean, they're quite evenly matched, both these sides, for this game. Forwards for forwards, backline for backs. It's quite an evenly matched game. So I also think this game might also just go down to the wire, depending on how the first 10 to 15 minutes go.
And Shane, the Jaguares obviously at altitude last weekend, as Peter just said, great start, but then faded against a very resilient Bulls side. Back at sea level, none of that altitude issues. How you see this one going?
Well, I think the Sharks are going to have to throw everything at this game, and I want them to win. I actually want the Sharks to win here. I like the way they play rugby. It's a very good style of South African rugby that you see some very fast backs. So I think the backline's going to be the key to winning this game. Actually, if backlines and Vovo and those boys can get some space, they're going to score some tries, and that's due to the hard work of the forward packs. Obviously, as Phil has said, both sides are evenly matched, 1-15, and finishes off the bench. So you can expect that it's going to be very tight. And the Jaguares, they're the real joy story of the Super Rugby season. The way they've grown and the way they've come across their rugby. Phil is, again, absolutely right. It's a coaching thing with Mario Ledesma. He's brought confidence and he's also made the environment a very pleasant one for his players by the look of things. So, but I'm still going to say the Sharks by 3. I think that the home ground advantage at Durban might be just enough for them.
So I'm going to pull up Christian's comment here, and he's put in the chat, it depends which Sharks team turns up, Jack. And I'm going to agree with him here, because I think here that this in previous years we'd have gone, which Jaguares team turns up, or how do they react to the referee? And I think now, as we've said about how they've played well in the last 2 to 3 months, we're not asking that question anymore.
Yeah.
But we are asking that question about the Sharks. They can turn up and beat the Lions. They could turn up and they can. I think they won a game on tour in New Zealand, and then they go and lose to like the Reds or whatever. And you're like, well, hang on, which Sharks side is it going to be? Because if the Sharks turn up, it's their game.
Yeah,
if they don't turn up, they'll lose it.
Yeah, man. I think Paul, the problem is here with most of the South African teams is the consistency. If you look at the Stormers, when they play at home, I mean, no, they look unbeatable. And now when they have to travel, then they start losing. The Sharks is the same side. They'll go on and beat the Blues in Auckland by 60, and then the following weekend they'll lose to the Hurricanes. And then they'll go in and beat the Lions, and then the following weekend they'll go and lose to bottom of the log South African Conference Stormers, for example. So, I mean, inconsistency has been a problem, has been an issue. So that's why it's very difficult to call some of these games at times, because now you don't know which side is going to pitch up, you know?
Yeah, and you've gone to confuse me. I went early in the week by Sharks by 5. But yeah, I'm doubting my pick now. Shane, you've gone, you went. I think we're all going Sharks narrowly because of home advantage. But yeah, another one that we think could go either way. So, thank you very much for joining me, gents. Pillar, tell the people all about the wonderful work that goes on at Grit Sports.
We're Grip Sports. We are a website and we focus on telling sports stories. More especially, current focus is rugby players, but we like to look at overall South African athletes, from athletes to cricketers to rugby players, netball girls, hockey, field hockey, that is, not ice hockey. We're in Africa. And then basically after that, we like to update people on current sports results, current sports news, breaking news. So all you have to do is just go to www.gritsports.co.za.
Fabulous. Yeah, some great stories of athlete stories from behind the scenes as to what drives them, etc. Over there on that site. Shane, where can people have a quick chat with you about rugby in between shows?
I'm on Twitter at SchoolerMate, SCOOLM8. Come and talk rugby.
And I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and now live Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. New Zealand time on Facebook as well as Periscope and YouTube. And yeah, please hit that like, do the old subscribing, retweet, share, all of those wonderful things. It's all different on these different platforms, but it all is kind of the same, isn't it? So you know what to do. Share it amongst your friends and enjoy whatever rugby you're watching this weekend.